All right. Welcome back to What the Prompt. And if this is your first time catching the show, you're jumping in on part 2 of a powerhouse combo with the crew from Onboardian. Don't worry if you missed part 1. This one really hits hard either way. We're talking real training, real accountability, and how AI isn't replacing people. It's finally helping the good ones win. If you like conversations that sound like they came from the sales desk, not a Silicon Valley boardroom, hit that subscribe button, share it with your GM, or leave a review. Let's keep pushing the industry forward. Let's get into it. You know, we always like to keep our eye on the goal, and benchmarking, of course, is where, you want to keep growing. So are tools like that within Onboardian, and is there an integration yet with AI driven coaching to improve, or would that be in the future for improving dealership employee performance?
So to answer your question on the reporting piece of it, that's where we're actually we're most focused on the reporting side, and not reporting side, but it's bringing the data together. It's centralizing the data in one place, because for us, we are on the onboarding tool. And so a big element I think is important to say. So we've had human capital, right? Human capital in business, but social capital has never been introduced really, and is not really talked about as far as something that actually impacts our business and something that we can actually measure. And so originally, as a manager, and this idea actually started back in Penske days when I was 20. I mean, a long time ago, but I was fighting my people to get off their phones and let's get going. And I'm like, wait a minute, this thing's got them locked. Like, this thing's got their attention.
Yeah.
And so I got to figure out a way to meet them. And so the analytics, the reporting, the tracking, it's a social platform for the dealer group now. And so everything that employees do in our platform, anything they search for, like, we've got all of the analytics to tell you what resources they're looking at, what resources are they using, who are they communicating inside of the dealership, across the organization, bringing in the performance metrics. And because now it's a month to date where every individual's got their own data, their own performance. They don't have to go ask a manager to pull a report and see where I'm at. Plus, it's digitized scoreboards. And so AI for us is now, because we've got, where is our people's attention? What are they actively using in what system, right? And then more importantly, as we continue building this, if I am now the onboarding tool for all tools, because I don't want to be everything to everyone, but what I needed one thing to get to everything else. And at that point in time, if I can go to one place and get to anything I need to, and it's all right there, that's simplification, and that's things got to happen. And so AI is going to be a massive part in the computing and the quantifying. It's taking qualitative data and actually putting it to a quantifiable system, which is the biggest thing that I'm excited about more than even the AI coach, because it's telling us things that we've never known. Meaning, is a manager actually influential or not? We have found out. Michael Arena, for instance, was the ex-chief talent officer for General Motors. He's running a data science project for us that we're putting together to launch. And you should see the research that he's doing. He's uncovering things that we've never been able to see before about networks. He can tell you based off your network where you're going to be in 3 years, and data proves that. And so we can measure things we've never been able to measure before.
AI powered role play training. How does that work? And why is it more effective than traditional sales training?
So again, the AI, again, I'm overly transparent. And so as far as the AI role playing is not yet, but we've created the pre-recorded, the pre-assimilated or assembled scenarios, but we've got all the content. And again, it just takes time, and I'm not going to launch anything that I've not tested. We had over 10,000 role-playing coaching submissions before I even went to a dealership to try to sell my product, just to give you an example. And so, for us though, what we know of, what we know we are going to do as we're moving forward to that is now based on the learner. Right. So think about that. So think about what each salesperson, and you've managed salespeople, right? If you've got a team of 15 people, how many people have different things that they really need to focus on and work on?
It would be a list that never ended because that list you would just keep adding on each person you talk to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now imagine being able for every single individual, knowing what the biggest impact that they will benefit from based off what they have the most opportunity in, what situations that they're struggling with because of, again, it's a difficult customer is one. It's just funny because it's not an easy situation to handle, but we've created the difficult customers that they get to practice on, and then they see it, but they're prepared. And it's funny because they're like, I recognize people and as like scenarios that people are doing it. And that's another thing that definitely, I'm gonna plug myself for a minute because that was intentional because I was so intentional watching people, right. And understanding all of the little things that the body language, the facial expressions, the tone out. And so that is what we really teach. And so that's only going to be elevated so much more because depending on how they respond now, serving up now the next response based on how they are actually talking is the next level. And so it really will be now in not just interactive, but in like a real-time customer that you don't have to pay for in essence, and you don't have to lose the ones that you usually let them practice on. And so there's no more excuses. There truly would be no more excuses on why you would not spend time on trying to develop your people, because it's proven in the data. People that have never sold cars before, 72% higher sales volume than people have sold cars before, if they take it through the platform beginning to end within the first 5 weeks.
Wow.
And so that's massive.
That crushes it. And that's the first 5 weeks. So if they just keep practice drilling and rehearsing, the sky's the limit for them and the dealers.
And that's over a year, by the way. And so that data but I'm saying is that the anomaly, the difference was if you invested with them up front, it pays dividends in the long run. That's the reason why you're bringing them on. We hire and we got to fill a seat. We got to get them in. And that's the problem. We've got to get out of our own ways. We got to get out of our own way.
Yeah. How can, and you've already answered some of these questions, but precisely how can AI help identify skill gaps in employees and personalize their training to improve performance? You've already hit on that a little bit, but is there skill gaps that you can isolate?
Most people don't know and understand truly what ChatGPT is, for instance. They think it's a search engine, right? Or it makes images or it makes documents. No. Imagine the smartest individual that you've ever met, and you can have a conversation with them and they can teach you whatever you want to learn. And so when you think about that in that way, if I'm a general manager and how can I leverage AI, create something that I want you managers, I want you guys, I want to see you can come up with the best question that you can ask that generates you the prompt that generates you the best information that helps you actually benefit and actually become closer to becoming a leader. But think about like just that small little task. Like I want to see who can come up with the best prompt to learn the most. It's one question. What does it generate for you? And at that point in time, it's now we're tapping into intrinsic motivation with a little bit of a competition, right? And when you get them in front of it, and then they got to benefit from it, right? And so that's the biggest thing I would say is like figure out a way. And there's a ton of simple ways to get in front of it. Think about them. Don't think about your business and trying to figure out how I can drive more profit. No, think about how I can invest in human beings and help human beings become happier, less stressed, less anxiety human beings. And you're going to sell more. You're going to drive more profit. But we got to start focusing on people. And so that'd be the biggest thing, man, is it's like, if I'm a general manager, it starts with you first, right? But just have your people ask questions based off of actually trying to learn something that pertains to leadership, and they will.
Since the AI role playing really is now, which is cool because we just released it technically to the audience, so they will at least have it in the future. They know what your product's going to bring to the table and how that'll work out. You know, as you were talking about that, because you were mentioning that you have so much video data, basically, that's one of the things I love about AI is you're able to repurpose. Like maybe 10 years ago, you would have had all this video stored up and you would have been mad because you're paying for servers to store all that video data that nobody's looking at, and you're like, man, I got all these servers I got to pay for, and I got to raise my cost, and the dealerships are getting mad because my price is already too high, but I got this data. What's cool is that with AI, you're repurposing that data now, and you can make it usable.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just that alone, bro, is pretty powerful.
100%. It's giving you future answers, right? Think about that. It was right. It's helping you make decisions in the future better, easier, faster, and it's doing it for you actually. And so,
right.
It's telling you what to do, right? It's telling you what you should think. It's telling you where you should go. Like that's really the leverage of it. And the way that, like, it's funny because what I see AI, and it's not to say the way I understand it, but the way that I look at AI is just a pattern former, and it tells you the highest probability of the right decision, for instance. And that's the same exact thing with everything that we do around us. There's patterns that exist. If we look for them and understand that, we just got to pay a little bit more attention, ask a few more questions, and truly be curious. But that's really what I see AI. And for us, the biggest leverage right now is within the centralization of the data, and what all of these data points together are telling us collectively, because there's a lot, right?
Right.
And that's the problem, is we sometimes get so much information, even pulling reports at different places. And the first thing the general manager's got to do is decode. And that's what I call it. Right. They got to decode what all the reports tell us, and they got to connect it. And I think I bet you there's a large majority of general managers that have a challenge with that. They may not say it. And I would recommend them, like, say it. We got to remove the egos and truly just, if you give a shit about getting better, then you can and you will. I think that's the biggest opportunity with all that.
Employee turnover is one of the biggest dealership challenges. How does AI training help fix this?
Mm-hmm. For this one specifically, and you think about it, so training is the word, and that's kind of the word I think I want to, like, break down for a minute. And when I say training, what do we understand training as? Because one of the, like, onboarding, for instance, right? Onboarding is a word that I have even just recently, when I was I'm like a researcher too, like, as a curious, I'm just curious, right? Because I don't want to ever assume anything. And so as I'm asking dealers and principals all around the country, they understand onboarding entirely different, and it's more of like an orientation. And it's like, so how can AI training, AI utilization within the system for us anyway, well, it's helping us create the entire structure faster. And so that's the other biggest thing, is we're leveraging the AI to help them build, customizing their new hire onboarding, this job specific onboarding, the creation of their tool instructions. Like that's how AI is helping accelerate what we always would think takes forever. You can build structure faster than we ever have before because of the utilization of AI that creates the majority of that for us. And so it's like AI builds upon itself, right? AI gives us more information over time, the more that you utilize that. And so how that helps with workforce retention, the more that they go through that and utilize that, the more information that you have to know exactly what it pulls it out and tells you, this resource has been searched for 82 times. And so you need a process for this. And so really think about that. Think about now exposing your biggest areas of opportunity based on your workforce because of something that you don't have pertaining to structure, some things that they continue asking for. And so AI is, like I said, it's like the definitely the person that never sleeps, that constantly finds the opportunities for you to continue getting better.
You know, it's funny you were bringing up onboarding and the name of the company, Onboardian, and it made my brain think, like, yeah, I've been really talking about training mostly. Is there an onboarding piece to it too?
That's the main.
Is that the primary piece?
That's the main. It's so, and I do a horrible job at talking about, like, the product. I think at a good. I'm trying to get better at that. Okay, and so, but when you think about this, how long does it take when you hire someone? How long does it take for, let's just use a salesperson, for example. How long does it take them to get and reach effectiveness? Meaning, where you have put a criteria of effectiveness, their daily habits, the things that you know would dictate their success. How long does it take them to reach effectiveness?
The first dude who ever hired me, he taught me to say, hey, if I hired you today, do you have 3 months of savings in your account that you can live on? And wait for their response. And if it was yes, great, you might be a fit, or no, you may not be a fit, because the first month is, if you've sold cars before and you sold the brand, that's usually a month of the training.
Mm-hmm.
The second month, you're really learning process. And the third month, you're putting product and process of the store together. Now, if they've already sold the product, you might just need 2 months of savings, because you already know the product. You're just learning the process. So I would say onboarding someone successfully takes 3 months.
Gallup did a study. It's on the average of 6 to 8 months. That's where, if you can shorten that down to 28 to 36 days, though, you're entirely shifting and doing a 180 on your retention. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
Every employee that we lose, we don't, I believe, and this is actually a mission of mine to actually prove it.
Right.
What is the actual cost and the actual impact? Because there's an impact, right? That's the thing we don't talk about. There's an impact in the business and the people that are surrounded by this person that's gone. We don't see it. They don't like work. Most likely this person's coming in and creating friction, creating frustration. Like, we don't see all of these things.
Right.
We can't measure all of those things, but it is so easy to begin setting people up for success. That, like, that's the thing I want, like, for me, and I will plug, it's like, I want them to know and understand that when you just give people information, there's now no question. And when you can eliminate the question, we don't want to eliminate all questions. Like, we don't want them talking to each other. No. But where do I park? As much as that may seem simple and it doesn't seem like it's a big deal, guess what? It's a massive deal. And there may people that may people leave, like, especially the younger generation, they may leave because they're thinking they're building anxiety. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just telling you, if something as small as that can be prevented. And there's a lot of those. That's the hope I want to try to give, because the information alone, how do I check a key out? How do I clock in? Mm-hmm. Where do I park the car to get trade appraisal? Because I can tell you this, I worked for a dealership and sold 50 cars on a Saturday, and I got tired of searching for cars. Where did you park it? Where are the keys at? Like, that's process, that's efficiency, that's a cost. There's a cost to that because there's customers lost, right? And so, the Onboardian is the entire onboarding structure. It's an employee end-to-end solution. And so it is the setting them up for success and now giving a dealership a new metric. You can now measure, how long does it take for this person to reach effectiveness? And that's the ultimate goal. You're hiring somebody because you need the additional capacity and contribution for the output, the return on that, right? But we don't measure that. So we give dealers an ability to do that now.
How does Onboardian help dealerships implement and adopt AI-driven successfully?
It's the structure, right? And so when you think about that, like, we've got AI classes in essence that we have created. It's not a training, but it's a part of an onboarding journey. And so onboarding, that's why I say onboarding, the word. So it's journey. When you think about a person, an employee, right, coming in somewhere, and then in 2 years, you may want them to be a manager. What the point of it is, they're always on a journey. They're always growing. And so how onboarding help, we create the structure that is the number one thing that is difficult for the people inside of the business. Meaning, okay, you have an initiative. You want to teach somebody about AI. Okay, what do we want to teach? Why do we want to teach the AI? Or why do we want to teach them the AI? Well, it's going to help them sell more cars because they're going to become a better, more effective questioner, let's just say. Okay, so we want to challenge or test that. So that's kind of the structure piece that we want to verify, right? But we create the implementation plan, the tool. We create the plan of the exact order of what we need them to do, broken down in a bite-sized section. Like, our videos are 3 minutes long. And when it comes into like a learning of like an onboarding journey, like systems, it's 15 to 30 seconds long. And so we've got to understand that our attention is so much shorter than it has ever been. But if you put the structure in place where you're just feeding them a little bit at the same time, and you're creating a habit, a pattern that shows up, and because it's automated where they show up and every time in the morning, boop, bam, pops up.
Right.
Managers don't have to go and remind them to go do things. We got their attention. And so that's how we help them implement this learning. And that goes into anything, new process, new system, AI, anything.
if you were just a vendor who wasn't a forward thinker, but you were just building a shiny thing for a dealership to sell to them, some snake oil, it wouldn't make sense. But you're a forward thinker, so I can ask you this question confidently. What do you think you were doing when AI started? Like that it made your gears turn like okay, I got my product. I got Onboardian. It's my baby. I'm building it. I'm a builder. And now AI is starting to come up everywhere I look and turn. And I think this was maybe like 3 or 5 years ago, maybe post COVID. I would say post COVID. I mean, of course, it's been around longer, but for us auto retail folks, and tech folks, we're like, now I need to integrate this. What were you doing, and how did that look like?
I was a user, and what I mean by that, it's accelerated in the last just few years, Michael. It's like, and this is why I can answer that is like, I had to a point just, I want to say within probably the last 2 years, is because I was like, where in the hell was this 2 years ago? Before that, because it's like, man, if I had this 2 years before that, then because I used it in my business, that's really everything AI for me was. I was a user I was a learner. I had to learn it and understand it, and before in my mind, like I can like to leverage it. It's the same thing with scaling. You can't scale something that you've not proven manually and did the hard work and the consistency of it to know, okay, this is what we need to scale now. We've proven that. We don't scale it first though. And so I was an entrepreneur that wears 28 different hats. And I became somebody that used AI in my own business that helps me learn. I started doing things faster. It really it accelerated. It accelerated time and what my capacity was. That's really what it is. It increased my capacity overnight. And so at that point in time, that's only until honestly, I really even like the thought of AI in my tool. I didn't have a thought of AI in my tool when I launched my tool. I didn't have the thought of AI in my tool when I even the first year of selling my tool. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, no, this has been, I don't think even more than this, not more than 2 years. I don't think like the first idea was more than 2 years. If not, that's the thing. It's happening so fast. And what's happened since even AI has just come out, it's crazy. It is absolutely insane with how much it's evolving. It's mind-boggling. And so some people are completely disconnected from it, though. They have no idea how fast things are going. They have no idea.
Where can people go to learn more about Onboardian and see your AI-driven solutions in action?
Mm-hmm. I would say you can go to obviously to our website, www.onboardian.com. But I write a lot of articles. And so there's a ton of articles on LinkedIn that I would recommend going and checking out and following. Because I try to, whenever I share some of those, I try to give you guys value. Because like for me, again, I was a GM. I understand it. And so if I can provide value every time that you interact with me, then in my opinion, then you may be more interested in seeing what else I can do to help. And so genuinely, if you go and read the last 4 or 5 articles in essence and utilize the resources that I put into there, it truly is to try to give you immediate impact, immediate value. And so that's what I recommend going to do.
If you found this conversation valuable, make sure to subscribe, like, and share this with your dealership team. AI isn't coming. It's already here.
Facts.
And it's time to start leveraging.
Facts.
Okay. Good to go, my brother.
I appreciate you, brother. So thank you.